से ड्यूटी सेटअप चालू करते हैं। कौन सा ग्लास? संसार दावा नललीढलोका त्राणाय कारुण्य घनाघनत्वं प्राप्तस्य कल्याण गुणाडवस्य वन्दे गुरो श्रीचरणरविन्दम् महाप्रभु कीर्तन नित्य गीत वादित्रमादान मनसोरसेना रोमांच कंपा सुतरंग भाजो वंदे गुरो श्रीचरणरविन्दम् चतुर्विधासी भगवत्प्रसादो स्वादन तृप्तान् हरिभक्त संगान् हितवैव तीर्थिं भजत सदैव वन्दे गुरो श्रीचरणरविन्दम् श्रीविग्रहाराधन नित्यनाना सिंगारतन्मन्दिरमार्जनादो युक्तस्य भक्तान् च नियुञ्जतोऽपि वन्दे गुरो श्रीचरणरविन्दम् श्रीराधिका माधवयोरपार माधुर्यलीला गुणरूपनाम्नाम् प्रतीक्षणास्वादनलोलुपस्य वन्दे गुरो श्रीचरणरविन्दम् निकुञ्जयूनो रतिकेलिसिधै यायालिभियुक्तिरपेक्षणीया तत्रादिदक्षादतिवल्लभस्य वन्दे गुरो श्रीचरणरविन्दम् साक्षाद्धरित्वेन समस्तशास्त्रे उक्तस्य तथा भाव्यते वसद्भिः किन्तु सघोरया प्रिय एव तस्य वन्दे गुरो श्रीचरणरविन्दम् यस्य प्रसादात् भगवत्प्रसादो यस्य प्रसादानगति कुतोऽपि ध्यायं स्तुवं तस्य यशस्ति संध्यं वन्दे गुरो श्रीचरणरविन्दम् वन्दे गुरो श्रीचरणरविन्दम् वन्दे गुरो श्रीचरणरविन्दम् नमः ॐ विष्णुपदाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमदे भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामिनीति नामिने पश्चातदिशतारिणे जय श्री कृष्ण।
फिर से गाइए मंगल आरती।
संसार दावन ललिढलोका त्राणाय कारुण्य घना घनत्वं प्राप्तस्य कल्याण गुणाणवस्य वन्दे गुरो श्रीचरणरविन्दं महाप्रभु कीर्तन नित्य गीता वादित्रमादान् मनसोरसेना रोमाञ्चकम्पासुतरङ्गभाजो वन्दे गुरो श्रीचरणरविन्दं श्रीविग्रहाराधननित्यनाना सिंगारतान्मन्दिरमार्जनादो युक्तस्य भक्तान् च नियुक्तो
मंगल आरती में पहनाते संग्रह आरती में
वन्दे गुरो श्रीचरणरविन्दं चतुर्विधासी भगवत्प्रसादो स्वादनतीतान् हरिभक्तसङ्घान् हित्वैव भजत सदैव वन्दे गुरो
मंगल आरती में पहनाते बाद में जो दर्शनार्थी होता है सब
माधुर्य लीला
गर्मी लगे
प्रतीक्षणा स्वादनलोलुपस्य वन्दे गुरो श्रीचरणरविन्दं निकुञ्जयूनो रतिकेलिसितै यायालिभियुक्तिरपेक्षणीया तत्रादिदक्षादतिवल्लभस्य वन्दे गुरो श्रीचरणरविन्दं साक्षात् हरित्वेन समस्तशास्त्रे उक्तस्य तथा भाव्यते वसद्भिः किन्तु प्रभुर्यप्रिय एव तस्य वन्दे गुरो श्रीचरणरविन्दं यस्य प्रसादात् भगवत्प्रसादो यस्य प्रसादान् न गति कुतोऽपि ध्यायंस्तु तस्य यशस्ति सन्ध्यं वन्दे गुरो श्रीचरणरविन्दं नमो ॐ विष्णुपदाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमदे भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामिनिति नामिने नमस्ते सरस्वती देवी गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्यदेशतारिणे जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। नमस्ते नरसिंहाय फलदलाददायिने हिरण्यकशिपूर्वक्षः शिलाटङ्कनफालये इतो नरसिंहा परतो नरसिंहा यतो यतो यामि ततो नरसिंहा बहि नरसिंहो हृदये नरसिंहो नरसिंहमदिं शरणं पपदे तव करकमलवरे नखाम् अद्भुतसिंहां दलिता हिरण्यकशिपु तनुभृङ्गाम् केशवधिता नरहरिरूपा जय जगदीश हरे जय जगदीश हरे जय जगदीश हरे जय नरसिंहदेव 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 जय प्रहलाद महाराज।
तुलसी आरती
वृंदाय तुलसी देवी आय प्रियाय केशव से च कृष्ण भक्ति पददेवी सत्यवते नमो नमः। वृंदाय तुलसी देवी आय प्रियाय केशव से च कृष्ण भक्ति पददेवी सत्यवते नमो नमः। वृंदाय तुलसी देवी आय प्रियाय केशव से च कृष्ण भक्ति पददेवी सत्यवते नमो नमः। नमो नमः तुलसी कृष्णा प्रियासी नाम नमः। राधा कृष्णा सेवा पाओ ए अभिलाषी मारे शरण लाओ तारा वांछा पूर्णा कृपा करी करो तारे वृंदावन वासी मोराए अभिलाष विलास कुंज दिया भास नयने रिबो सदा जुगल रूप राशि यही निवेदन कर सखीरन कत कर सेवाधिकार दिए कर निज दासी दिन कृष्ण दास काये नमो राय श्री राधा गोविंद प्रेम सदा येन भासी यानि कानि च पापानि ब्रह्महत्यादिकानि च तानि तानि प्रणश्यन्ति प्रदक्षिणा पदे पदे यानि कानि च पापानि ब्रह्महत्यादिकानि च तानि तानि प्रणश्यन्ति प्रदक्षिणा पदे पदे यानि कानि च पापानि ब्रह्महत्यादिकानि च तानि तानि प्रणश्यन्ति प्रदक्षिणा पदे पदे जय वृंदे देवी जय वृंदे देवी तुलसी महारानी जय तुलसी महारानी। वृंदाय तुलसी देवी आय प्रियाय केशव से च कृष्ण भक्ति प्रदेवी सत्यवते नमो नमः। वृंदाय तुलसी देवी आय प्रियाय केशव से च कृष्ण भक्ति प्रदेवी सत्यवते नमो नमः। वृंदाय तुलसी देवी आय प्रियाय केशव से च Krishna Bhakti Pradadevi Satyavate Namo Namah.
What do you read?
Yes, Maharaj.
Somebody has this. Who wants to read?
कल बीमार किया हुआ था वो अंकल.
Who wants to read?
Yes, Maharaj. Easy to do?
Six. Six canto.
Yes, 6 canto.
Yes, sir. English.
Yes, Maharaj. Chapter 7. इंद्र द्वारा गुरु बृहस्पति का अपमान.
English.
Read in English.
Okay.
Continue from there.
Okay. Chapter 7. Indra offense.
Sila?
What?
हाँ बहुत में.
No.
244 है. सात सिला मिसिंग. 251 था ना? 7 सिला मिसिंग. मैं जब से आया तब से 244 है. पिछले 3 महीने से.
Hey.
Chapter 7. Indra offends Brihaspati. Text 9. Brihaspati knew everything that would happen in the future. Seeing Indra's transgression of etiquette, he completely understood that Indra was puffed up by his material opulence. Although able to curse Indra, he did not do so. Instead, he left the assembly and in silence returned to his home. Text 10. Indra, the king of heaven, could immediately understand his mistake. Realizing he had disrespected his spiritual master, he condemned himself in the presence of all the members of the assembly. Text 11. Alas, what a regrettable deed I have committed because of my lack of intelligence and my pride in my material opulence. I failed to show respect to my spiritual master when he entered this assembly, and thus I have insulted him. Text 12. Although I am the king of the demigods, who are situated in the mode of goodness, I was proud of a little opulence and polluted by false ego. Under the circumstances, who in this world would accept such riches at the risk of falling down? Alas, I condemn my wealth and opulence. Purport. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu prayed to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Na dhanam na janam na sundarim kavitam va jagadisha kamanim. O my Lord, I do not aspire for material opulence or wealth, nor do I want a great number of followers to accept me as their leader. Nor do I want a very beautiful wife to please me. Mama janmani janmanishvare bhavatad bhakti rahetu ki tvai. I do not even want liberation. All I want, life after life, is to be a faithful servant of your Lordship. According to the laws of nature, when one is extremely opulent, one becomes degraded, and this is true both individually and collectively. The demigods are situated in the mode of goodness, but sometimes even one who is situated in such an exalted position as King Indra, the king of all the demigods, falls down because of material opulence. We are now actually seeing this in America. The entire American nation has tried to advance in material opulence without striving to produce ideal human beings. The result is that Americans are now regretting the wholesale criminality of American society and are wondering how America has become so lawless and unmanageable. As stated in Srimad Bhagavatam 7.531, Nate vidu sat gatim hi Vishnu. Persons who are unenlightened do not know the aim of life, which is to return home back to Godhead. Therefore, both individually and collectively, they try to enjoy so-called material comforts, and they become addicted to wine and women. The men produced in such a society are less than the fourth class. They are the unwanted population known as Varna Shankara, and as stated in Bhagavad Gita, an increase of Varna Shankara population creates a hellish society. This is the society in which Americans now find themselves. Fortunately, however, the Hare Krishna movement has come to America, and many fortunate young men are giving serious attention to this movement, which is creating ideal men of first-class character, men who completely refrain from meat eating, illicit sex, intoxication, and gambling. If the American people are serious about curbing the degraded criminal life of their nation, they must take to the Krishna consciousness movement and try to create the kind of human society advised in Bhagavad Gita. Chaturvanya Maya Shrishtam Guna Karma Vibhagasha. They must divide their society into first class men, second class men, third class. They must divide their society into first class men, second class men, third class men, and fourth class men.
About
Jana.
Since they are now creating only men who are less than the fourth class, how can they avoid the dangers of a criminal society? Long ago, Lord Indra regretted his disrespect to his spiritual master, Bajastami. Similarly, it is advised that the American people regret their mistaken advancement in civilization. They should take advice from the spiritual master, the representative of Krishna. If they do so, they will be happy, and theirs will be an ideal nation to lead the entire world. Text 13. If a person says, one who is situated on the exalted throne of a king should not stand up to show respect to another king or a brahmana, it is understood that he does not know the superior religious principles.
read this again.
Read this again.
If a person says, one who is situated on the exalted throne of a king should not stand up to show respect to another king or a brahmana, it is to be understood that he does not know the superior religious principles. Purport. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says in this regard that when a president or king is sitting on his throne, he does not need to show respect to everyone who comes within his assembly, but he must show respect to superiors like his spiritual master, Brahmana, and Vaishnavas. There are many examples of how he should act. When Lord Krishna was sitting on his throne and Narada fortunately entered his assembly, even Lord Krishna immediately stood up with his officers and ministers to offer respectful obeisances to Narada. Narada knew that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and Krishna knew that Narada was his devotee. But although Krishna is the Supreme Lord and Narada is the Lord's devotee, the Lord observed the religious etiquette. Since Narada was a brahmachari, a brahmana, and an exalted devotee, even Krishna, while acting as a king, offered his respectful obeisances unto Narada. Such is the conduct visible in the Vedic civilization. A civilization in which the people do not know how the representative of Narada and Krishna should be respected, how society should be formed, and how one should advance in Krishna consciousness. A society concerned only with manufacturing new cars and new skyscrapers every year and then breaking them to pieces and making new ones may be technologically advanced, but it is not a human civilization. A human civilization is advanced when its people follow the Chaturvarnya system, the system of 4 orders of life. There must be ideal first-class men to act as advisors, second-class men to act as administrators, third-class men to produce food and protect cows, and fourth-class men who obey the 3 higher classes of society. One who does not follow the standard system of society should be considered a fifth-class man. A society without Vedic laws and regulations will not be very helpful to humanity. As stated in this verse, Dharmam tena param vidu. Such a society does not know the aim of life and the highest principles of religion. Text 14. Leaders who have fallen into ignorance and who mislead people by directing them to the path of destruction as described in the previous verse are in effect boarding a stone boat, and so too are those who blindly follow them. A stone boat would be unable to float and would sink in the water with its passengers. Similarly, those who mislead people go to hell and their followers go with them. Purport. As stated in the Vedic literature, Bhagavatam 11:20-17, Videdhamadyam sulabham sudurlabham labham sukalpam guru karnadharam. We, the conditioned souls, have fallen in the ocean of nescience, but the human body fortunately provides us a good opportunity to cross the ocean because human body is like a very good boat. When directed by a spiritual master acting as the captain, the boat can very easily cross the ocean. Furthermore, the boat is held across by favorable winds, which are the instructions of the Vedic knowledge. If one does not take advantage of all these facilities to cross the ocean of nescience, he is certainly committing suicide. One who boards a boat made of stone is doomed. To be elevated to the stage of perfection, humanity must first give up false leaders who presents boats of stone. All of human society is in such a dangerous position that to be rescued, it must abide by the standard instructions of the Vedas. The cream of these instructions appears in the form of Bhagavad Gita. One should not take shelter of any other instructions, for Bhagavad Gita gives direct instructions on how to fulfill the aim of human life. Lord Krishna therefore says, Sarvadharman paritajya mama ekam sharanam vraja. Give up all other processes of religion and simply surrender to me. If one does not accept Lord Krishna as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, his instructions are so exalted and beneficial for humanity that if one follows his instructions, one will be saved. Otherwise, one will be cheated by unauthorized meditation and gymnastic methods of yoga. Thus one will board a boat of stone, which will sink and drown all its passengers. Unfortunately, although the American people are extremely eager to get out of materialistic chaos, they are sometimes found to patronize the makers of stone boats. That will not help them. They must take the proper board offered by Krishna in the form of the Krishna consciousness movement. Then they will be easily saved. In this regard, Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur comments, Ashmamya plavo yesham te yatha bhajantam plavam anumbajanti tathati rajanityapadeshteshu sasavyeshu ko vyanjita. If society is guided by political diplomacy, with one nation maneuvering against another, it will certainly sink like a stone boat. Political maneuvering and diplomacy will not save human society. People must take to Krishna consciousness to understand the aim of life, to understand God, and to fulfill the human mission. Text 15. King Indra said, Therefore, with great frankness and without duplicity, I shall now bow my head at the lotus feet of Brihaspati, the spiritual master of the demigods, because he is in the mode of goodness. He is fully aware of all knowledge and is the best of the Brahmanas. Now I shall touch his lotus feet and offer my obeisances unto him to try to satisfy him. Purport. Coming to his senses, King Indra realized that he was not a very sincere disciple of his spiritual master, Brihaspati. Therefore, he decided that henceforward he would be Nishat, non-duplicitous. Nishita Shirshana Tatsharanam Sprishan. He decided to touch his head to the feet of his spiritual master. From this example, we should learn this principle enunciated by Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur. Yasya prasadat bhagavat prasado, yasya prasadat nagati kutopi. By the mercy of the spiritual master, one is benedicted by the mercy of Krishna. Without the grace of the spiritual master, one cannot make any advancement. A disciple should never be a hypocrite or be unfaithful to his spiritual master. In Srimad Bhagavatam 11:17-27, the spiritual master is also called Acharya. Acharya Mam Vijanyan. The Supreme Personality of Godhead says that one should respect the spiritual master, accepting him as the Lord himself. Navamanyata Karhichit. One should not disrespect the Acharya at any time.
ये सुनना ठीक है बेटा
Namartya Buddhya Suye. One should never think the Acharya an ordinary person. Familiarity sometimes breeds contempt. But one should be very careful in one's dealings with the Acharya. Agada Dishanam Vijam. The Acharya is a perfect Brahmana and has unlimited intelligence in guiding the activities of his disciple. Therefore, Krishna advises in Bhagavad Gita 4.34 that Vidhi Pranipatena Pariprashnaini Sevaya Uddikshanti Te Jnanam Jnaninas Tattvadarshinaha. Just try to learn the truth by approaching a spiritual master. Inquire from him submissively and render service unto him. The self-realized soul can impart knowledge unto you because he has seen the truth. One should fully surrender unto the spiritual master and with service, sevaya, one should approach him for further spiritual enlightenment. Text 16. While Indra, the king of the demigods, thought in this way and repented in his own assembly, Brihaspati, the most powerful spiritual master, understood his mind. Thus he became invisible to Indra and left home, for Brihaspati was spiritually more powerful than King Indra. Text 17. Although Indra searched vigorously with the assistance of the other demigods, he could not find Brihaspati. Then Indra thought, alas, my spiritual master has become dissatisfied with me, and I have no means of achieving good fortune. Although Indra was surrounded by demigods, he could not find peace of mind. Text 18. Hearing of the pitiable condition of King Indra, the demons, following the instructions of their guru Shukracharya, equipped themselves with weapons and declared war against the demigods. Text 19. The demigods' heads, thighs, arms, and the other parts of their bodies were injured by the sharp arrows of the demons. The demigods, headed by Indra, saw no other course than to immediately approach Lord Brahma with bowed heads for shelter and proper instruction. Text 20. When the most powerful Lord Brahma saw the demigods coming toward him, their bodies gravely injured by the arrows of the demons, he pacified time by his great causeless mercy and spoke as follows. Text 21. Lord Brahma said, O best of the demigods, unfortunately, because of madness resulting from your material opulence, you have failed to receive Brihaspati properly when he came to your assembly. Because he is aware of the Supreme Brahmana and fully in control of his senses, he is the best of the Brahmanas. Therefore, it is very astonishing that you have acted impudently toward him. Purport. Lord Brahma recognized the Brahmanical qualifications of Brihaspati, who was the spiritual master of the demigods, because of his awareness of the Supreme Brahman. Brihaspati was very much in control of his senses and mind, and therefore he was the most qualified Brahmana. Lord Brahma chastised the demigods for not properly respecting the demigod, the Brahmana, who was their guru. Lord Brahma chastised the demigods for not properly respecting this Brahmana who was their guru. Lord Brahma wanted to impress upon the demigods that one's guru should not be disrespected under any circumstances. When Brihaspati entered the assembly of the demigods, they and their king Indra took him for granted. Since he came every day, they thought they did not need to show him special respect. As it is said, familiarity breeds contempt. Being very much displeased, Brihaspati immediately left Indra's palace. Thus all the demigods, headed by Indra, became offenders at the lotus feet of Brihaspati. And Lord Brahma, being aware of this, condemned their neglect. In a song we sing every day in Rostan Das Thakur says, the Guru gives spiritual insight to the disciple, and therefore the Guru should be considered his master, life after life. Under no circumstances should the Guru be disrespected, but the demigods, being puffed up by the material possessions, were disrespectful to their Guru. Therefore, Srimad Bhagavatam 11:17-27 advises, Acharya mam vijaniyam navamanyeta karhichit namartya buddha suyeta. The Acharya should always be offered respectful obeisances. One should never envy the Acharya, considering him an ordinary human being. Text 22. Because of your misbehavior toward Brihaspati, you have been defeated by the demons. My dear demigods, since the demons were weak, having been defeated by you several times, how else could you, who were so advanced in opulence, be defeated by them? Purport. The Devas are celebrated for fighting with the Asuras perpetually. In such fights, the Asuras were always defeated, but this time the demigods were defeated. Why? The reason as stated here was that they had offended their spiritual master. Their impudent disrespect of their spiritual master was the cause of their defeat by the demons. As stated in the Shastras, when one disrespects a respectable superior, one loses his longevity and the results of his pious activities, and in this way, one is degraded. Text 23. O Indra, your enemies, the demons, were extremely weak because of their disrespect towards Shukracharya. But since they have now worshipped Shukracharya with great devotion, they have again become powerful. By their devotion to Shukracharya, they have increased their strength so much that they are now even able to easily seize my abode from me. Purport. Lord Brahma wanted to point out to the demigods that by the strength of the Guru, one can become most powerful within this world. And by the displeasure of the Guru, one can lose everything. This is confirmed by the song of Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur. Jese prasada bhagavat prasado, jesa prasada dagati kutauti. By the mercy of the spiritual master, one is benefited by the mercy of Krishna. Without the grace of the spiritual master, one cannot make any advancement. Although the demons are insignificant in comparison to Lord Brahma, because of the strength of their Guru, they were so powerful that they could even seize Brahmaloka from Lord Brahma. We therefore pray to the spiritual master. Mukam karoti vachalam pangum langayate girim yatkripatam ham bande Sri Gurum Vinataranam. By the mercy of the Guru, even a dumb man can become the greatest orator, and even a lame man can cross mountains. As advised by Lord Brahma, one should remember this Shastric injunction if one desires success in his life. Text 24. Because of their firm determination to follow the instructions of Shukracharya, his disciples, the demons are now unconcerned about the demigods. In fact, kings or others who have determined faith in the mercy of Brahmanas, cows, and the spiritual personality of God as Krishna, and who always worship these three, are always strong in their position. Purport. From the instructions of Lord Brahma, it is understood that everyone should very faithfully worship the Brahmanas, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and the cows. The Supreme Personality of Godhead is Go Brahman Hitaya Cha. He is always very kind to cows and Brahmanas. Therefore, one who worships Govinda must satisfy him by worshipping the Brahmanas and cows. If a government worships the Brahmanas, the cows, and Krishna, Govinda, it is never defeated anywhere. Otherwise, it must always be defeated and condemned everywhere. At the present moment, all over the world, governments have no respect for Brahmanas, cows, and Govind, and consequently, there are chaotic conditions all over the world. In summary, although the demigods were very powerful material opulence, the demons defeated them in a battle because the demigods had behaved disrespectfully towards a Brahmana, Brihaspati, who was their spiritual master. Text 25. O demigods, I instruct you to approach Vishwarupa, the son of Tvashta, and accept him as your guru. He is a pure and very powerful Brahmana, undergoing austerity and penances. Pleased by your worship, he will fulfill your desires, provided that you tolerate his being inclined to side with the demons. Purport. Lord Brahma advised the demigods to accept the son of Tvashta as their spiritual master, although he was always inclined toward the benefit of the Asuras. Text 26. Srila Shukdev Goswami continued, thus advised by Lord Brahma and relieved of their anxiety, all the demigods went to sage Vishwarupa, the son of Tvashta. My dear king, they embraced him and spoke as follows. Text 27. The demigod said, Beloved Vishwarupa, may there be all good fortune for you. We the demigods have come to your ashram as your guests. Please try to fulfill our desires according to the time, since we are on the level of your parents. Text 28. O Brahmana, the highest duty of a son, even though he has sons of his own, is to serve his parents. And what to speak of a son who is a brahmachari? Text 29:30. The Acharya, the spiritual master who teaches all the Vedic knowledge and gives initiation by offering the sacred thread, is the personification of all the Vedas. Similarly, a father personifies Lord Brahma, a brother King Indra, a mother the planet Earth, and a sister Mercy. A guest personifies religious principles, and an invited guest personifies the demigod Agni, and all living entities personify Lord Vishnu, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Purport. According to the moral instructions of Chanakya Pandit, Atmavat Sarva Bhuteshu, one should observe all living entities to be on the same level as oneself. This means no one should be neglected as inferior, because Paramatma is seated in everyone's body. Everyone should be respected as a temple of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. This verse describes the different ways in which one should respect a guru, a father, a brother, a sister, a guest, and a son. Text 31. Dear son, we have been defeated by our enemies, and therefore we are very much aggrieved. Please mercifully fulfill our desires by relieving our distress to the strength of your austerities. Please fulfill our prayers. Text 32. Since you are completely aware of the Supreme Brahmana, you are a perfect Brahmana, and therefore you are the spiritual master of all orders of life. We accept you as our spiritual master and director, so that by the power of your austerity, we may easily defeat the enemies who have conquered us. Purport. One must approach a particular type of guru to execute a particular type of duty. Therefore, all the Vishwarupa was inferior to the demigods. The demigods accepted him as their guru to conquer the demons. Text 33. The demigods continued, do not fear criticism for being younger than us. such etiquette does not apply in regard to Vedic mantras. Except in relationship to Vedic mantras, seniority is determined by age, but one may offer respectful obeisances even to a younger person who is advanced in chanting Vedic mantras. Therefore, although you are junior in relationship to us, you may become our priest without hesitation. Purport. It is said, Vidatvam Vishya Vina. One may be senior without being advanced in age. Even if one is not old, one gains seniority if he is senior in knowledge. Vishwarupa was junior in relationship to the demigods because he was the nephew. But the demigods wanted to accept him as a priest, and therefore he would have to accept obeisances from them. The demigods explained that this should not be a cause for education. He should become their priest because he was advanced in Vedic knowledge. Similarly, Chanakya Pandit advises, Nichadapi Uttamam Jnanam. One may accept education from a member of a lower social order. The Brahmanas, the members of the most elevated Varna, are teachers. But a person in a lower family, such as a family of Kshatriyas, Vaishyas, or even Shudras, may be accepted as a teacher if he has knowledge. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu approved of this when he expressed this opinion before Ramanand Rai. CC Madhya 8.128. Kiba Vipra Kibranya Si Shudra Ke Nirnaye Yehi Krishna Tattva Veti Sei Guru Hoye. It does not matter whether one is a Brahmana, Shudra, Kriyas, or Sannyasi. These are all material designations. A spiritual advanced person has nothing to do with such designations. Therefore, if one is advanced in the science of Krishna consciousness, regardless of his position in human society, he may become a spiritual master. Text 34. Shukdev Goswami continued. When all the demigods requested great Vishwarupa to be their priest, Vishwarupa, who was advanced in austerities, was very pleased. He replied to them as follows. Shri Vishwarupa said, O demigods, although the acceptance of priesthood is declared as causing the loss of previously acquired Brahminical power, how can someone like me refuse to accept your personal request? You are all exalted commanders of the entire universe. I am your disciple and must take many lessons from you. Therefore, I cannot refuse you. I must agree for my own benefit. Purport. The professions of a qualified Brahmana are Pathan Pathan, Yajan Yajan, Dan Pratigraha. The words Yajan and Yajan means that a Brahman becomes the priest of the populace for the sake of their elevation. One who accepts the post of spiritual master neutralizes the sinful reactions of Yajman, the one on whose behalf he performs Yajna. Thus the results of the pious activities previously performed by the priest or spiritual master are diminished. Therefore, priesthood is not accepted by learned Brahmanas. Nevertheless, the great learned Brahmana, Vishwarupa, became the priest of the demigods because of his profound respect for them. Text 36. O exalted governors of various planets, the true Brahmana, who has no material possessions, maintains himself by the profession of accepting Shilonshana. In other words, he picks up grains left in the field and on the ground in wholesale marketplace. By this means, householder Brahmanas who actually abide by the principles of austerity and penance maintain themselves and their families and perform all necessary pious activities. A Brahmana who desires to achieve happiness by gaining wealth through professional priesthood must certainly have a very low mind. How shall I accept such priesthood? Purport. A first-class Brahmana does not accept any rewards from his disciples or his demands. Practicing austerities and penances, he instead goes to the agricultural field and collects food grains left by the agriculturists to be collected by Brahmanas. Similarly, the Brahmanas go to marketplaces where grains are purchased and sold wholesale, and they collect grains left by the merchants. this way, such exalted Brahmanas maintain their bodies and families. Such priests never demand anything from his disciples, providing opulence, imitating Kshatriyas or Vaishyas. In other words, a pure Brahmana voluntarily accepts a life of poverty and lives in complete dependence on the mercy of the Lord. Not very many years ago, a Brahmana in Krishnanagar near Navadvip was offered some help from the local Zamindar, Raja Krishnacharya. The Brahmana refused to accept the help. He said, then since he was very happy in his householder life, taking rice given by his disciples and cooking vegetables of tamarind leaves, there was no question of taking help from the Zamindar. The conclusion is that although Brahmana may receive much opulence from his disciples, he should not utilize the rewards of his priesthood for his personal benefit. He must use them for the service of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Text 37. All of you are my superiors. Therefore, although accepting priesthood is sometimes reproachable, I cannot refuse even a small request from you. I agree to be your priest. I shall fulfill your request by dedicating my life and possessions. Text 38. Srila Shukdev Goswami continued. O King, after making the promise to the demigods, the exalted Vishwarupa, surrounded by the demigods, performed the necessary priestly activities with great enthusiasm and attention. Purpose. The word samadhina is very important. Samadhi means complete absorption with an undiverted mind. Vishwarupa, who was a most learned Brahmana, not only accepted the request of the demigods, but took the request seriously and performed the activities of a priesthood with an undiverted mind. In other words, he accepted the priesthood not for material gain, but to profit the demigods. Such is the duty of a priest. The word pura means family and hita means benefit. Thus the word purata indicates that the priest is the well-wisher of the family. Another meaning of the word pura is first. A priest's first duty is to see that his disciples benefit spiritually and materially by all means. Then he is satisfied. A priest should never be interested in performing Vedic rituals for his personal benefit. Text 39. The opulence of the demons, who are generally known as the enemies of the demigods, was protected by the talents and tactics of Shukracharya. But Vishwarupa, who was most powerful, composed a protective prayer known as the Narayan Kavach. By this intelligent mantra, he took away the opulence of the demons and gave it to